What's up, guys? Coach Matt and YouGoProBaseball.com here again with Fernando Cortez. We're here in his beautiful place in Temecula, California.
Yes,
We're going to talk a little bit about fielding today.
Yeah.
You were a major league infielder, played a little bit of shortstop, second base.
Yep.
Talk about your approach when you're set up, what you're trying to do, what you're thinking about when you may get a ball hit to you.
Yeah. So for me, it's all about preparation, right? So same thing when we talked about hitting is preparing and knowing what's coming, right? So a lot of times I'm looking at spray charts, I'm looking at hitters, I'm seeing what do they typically do, what are their tendencies. So for me, it's always that preparation first, and then comes positioning. So if I'm playing second base, and like I played against the Braves coming up, so Freddie Freeman, he liked to pull the ball a lot when he was young. So I would move over, or a guy named Scott Thurman, or Thorman is his last name. He would pull a lot. So I would play in the hole almost in between first and second and put myself in a position to basically take away hits before I even had to run to the ball, right? So my biggest thing is once I had that all in place was being square to everything. So I always wanted to be in a good balanced position. And I could take this same position and do the same thing if I were still in the base. So like if second base was here and you were first base and I was leading off, if I felt like I can get from here and then go steal the base that way, then I was able to move laterally this way. Same thing with fielding. If I'm in this same balanced position where it's almost, shoulders width apart and I got a little bounce, I'm on the balls of my feet, then a ball to my left, I can actually move and go that way. If a ball's to my right, I can move and either cross over and go. If it's a slow roller, I'm on my balls of my feet so I can go get it. If it's a ball over my right shoulder, I can open up and go get a pop-up, right? Same thing on my left side, I can pop up and open. So I always wanted to be in a position to get to any ball if I possibly could. One of the bigger things that I did was in BP. I would literally practice this, and if a guy was hitting, he could pull a ball, and even though the ball's not to me, if I'm playing short and let's say he pulls it down the third base line, I still move, and I go just to get to feel what it's like to actually attempt to go get the ball. Game-like. Even in games, I'm pretty sure, like if someone was watching me in games, there would be foul balls, but I was moving to those foul balls and I would run as if that ball was anywhere near me, I was gonna get it. You know what I mean? So it was always me trying to test myself and seeing how much ground I could cover.
That's great. Being athletic is a big thing, right?
Absolutely.
What about like pre-pitch? I know some guys are left foot, right foot. Some guys are right foot, left foot. Some guys are like a little hop. What did you do for that?
For me, it was a rhythm that I was mostly inside. So I'll give you an example. Some guys will say, we'll come up and then you're here, right? Mm-hmm. For me, I felt like if I went too far forward, I was giving up range. So I wanted to do it within my stance. So I could rock and maybe like, if I'm playing third, it's a little different because I'm already close to the plate, right? So I might rock right in it and just be like, okay, pick it up and put it down. Pick it up, put it down. I'm always moving, even though I'm moving in place. Some people will think that because you're moving all the time, you have to be moving forward, or you got to move left, and you got to move right. I can move a ton, but never go anywhere. It's just all rhythm. It's like tennis players, right? The people who are receiving the ball from the serve, these things are coming 120 miles per hour, right? They're just sitting here like this, and they're rocking, and they're able to move this way or move that way. So it's the same thing for me. I'm just trying to create rhythm and timing. That way I can go create my angles, which is a whole nother thing.
So tell us about that. Talk a little bit about the angles.
So angles, so when you're at third base, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard to create angles. Everything's going to be just lateral because you're so far up, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you're playing deeper. And then most of the time you can try to create an angle on a ball to your left or a ball to your right. Now shortstop, second base, I got a little bit more time. So I want to be able to create an angle. If it's a slow roller, I want to be able to run up, create my angle. And what I mean by that is I'm trying to basically set up where I'm going to throw. So if it's to first base, I'm creating this angle to get my body in position to throw to first base. So by the time I go get the ball, I'm already moving into the direction I want to go. Instead of just going over to the ball, getting it flat-footed, and then trying to gather my whole body, I'm already creating that angle prior to me actually throwing the baseball.
You know, it's funny, we talk a lot about timing in hitting, but I think fielding has a lot to do with timing and creating the angles and getting to the ball in a good time. can you talk about hops, as in like the short hop, the long hop, getting stuck in between, and how you kind of looked at that?
So for me, one of the biggest things that I always want to recognize is the speed of the ball. The speed of the ball is always going to dictate how I'm going to actually approach the ball. If it's hit slow, I got to go get it, right? Especially if there's a guy hitting, he's a fast guy, right? So I got to run as fast as I can to go get the ball to go make a good throw to the base, right? So the speed of the ball is what's going to dictate how I'm actually going to, like, if it's a rocket at me, I can't go run and get it, right? I can only sit right here, and then maybe I can adjust and just drop step and catch it, right? Or if it's like a hard short hop to me, I may not have time to move my feet, so I have to pick it at that moment, right? If it's slower, then I have the opportunity to move my feet and do some things, right? So the speed of the ball, for me, was always going to dictate how I was actually going to field the ball. Backhand, forehand, go get it, drop step. Didn't matter how I was actually fielding the ball, it was always dictated by the speed of the ball.
Let me ask you this now. In practice, when you got a fellow teammate or a coach hitting you fungos, what were you working on off of fungos, and how did you like your fungos?
So for me, it was awesome. Like, that was probably one of my favorite things to do in batting practice. So we had pitchers who would hit us fungos and hit us ground balls. And there was this thing that everybody knew, that I would pick out a guy, and I wanted to see if he can hit a ball by me. And it had to be realistic, though. You can't just hit a ball up the middle of the center field and I can't get to it, right? But guys were trying to beat me day in and day out, right? So before I would actually get to that, though, I had a routine, right? I would take ground balls, and I would take ground balls right at me. I'd probably take 25, 30 balls right at me. Then I would take balls to my glove side. Then I would take balls to my backhand. And then I would bring in all these pitchers to come and try to hit balls by me. So it was very game-like, a little bit different because they were hitting off to the side of the cage. And it was a little bit tougher for me because it was closer, which was perfectly fine, though. So anytime they try to hit a ball up the middle, I was diving in practice. I'm trying to my ego was not letting any ball get to the outfield, right?
Nice.
Now, the last round of BP, what I would do is I'd come up and I would play infield in, and I would let that whole round of hitters try to hit balls by me. And the same thing, I was getting good reads off, and then I'd come halfway, get good reads, double play depth, and then I'd play deep. So when the game came, there wasn't a ball I didn't see. I literally could get to baseballs that maybe majority of the people couldn't or wouldn't think that they could, because I was testing my limits constantly and just trying to, I would end up in the outfield a lot of times. And people are like, what are you doing out here? I'm like, if I can build that much range, it makes it so much easier for me in the game.
That's a great point. You know, I think of that as like a basketball player. He's not just going to sit there and shoot the same shot every time. He's got to work on different ways he's catching the ball and shooting it, quick releases. Same thing with infielding.
Running off a pick.
Yeah, all these different things, right? So when you get into the game and you see something, you've already seen it game-like in practice. Talk about the one play that you had where you were going towards second and had to come back to first. Tell that story.
Yeah, so that was I've done it. I pulled it off about 4 or 5 times in a game.
Wow.
So I can throw with both hands. So I throw left-handed, I throw right-handed. And a lot of times when I'm playing infield, if I'm playing second base and there's leadoff guys, I'm shortening up the depth of where I'm playing, because a lot of guys will try to bunt, either push bunt from the right side or drag bunt, lefty. So the only way that I'm going to be able to get them out is to shorten up. So there was a play when I was in Double-A, and Dwayne Bacon was hitting, and he's a fast leadoff guy for the Cubs organization. And my pitcher was a left-handed pitcher named Sam Walton. And I was playing very, very shallow because I thought he would push bunt to my side, and the only way I can get him out is by playing shallow. Well, he ends up swinging, and I'm already playing way up. He hits a line drive up the middle. So initially, my whole thing was move to the ball. So I moved to the right, and the ball ricochets off the pitcher, off his shoulder. It was a line drive and goes back to where I was. So now I'm over here and I got to turn around, and the ball is like, it's hard ricocheted off him. So it's like a hard ground ball going in between first and second. Now at this point, the only thing I can do, especially with his speed, is try to get it and throw across my body, which wasn't going to work. Get it, spin, throw him out, which wasn't going to work. So as I'm running, I don't know what I was thinking or what happened, just naturally I'm running. I take my glove off and I start running like this. And I pick up the baseball and just throw him out left-handed. And it was pretty cool because the whole stadium is like, just stopped. Now, I wasn't showing off. It was literally the only play that I could have made in order to get him out in that situation. But when I turned around and looked at everybody else, everyone is just dying laughing. So I have to stick my face in my glove, and I'm going like, everyone's gonna think that I was showing.
Right.
Honestly, it was the only play that I could have done. And the funny thing is that same situation happened, very similar, probably 3 or 4 different times. I did the same play.
And it's a reaction from
It's
your
a reaction.
part.
It's
and
just a
it's
reaction.
because you've tried all these crazy things in practice, and you just react when you're out there. You weren't thinking about
No.
that. You weren't trying to plan it as it was happening.
But
You
I've
just
done
react.
it. But I've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in practice, messing around with my pitchers, guys. Other infielders were testing each other. We'd play games of who can make the best play at short, right? And then it'd be 4 or 5 of us trying to make the best play in BP, or whoever drops it is out. And then it's basically like last man standing, right? So like we've played these games, and I've basically put myself in very, very tough positions, fielding ground balls. And when game came and it was a tough play to everybody else, to me, honestly, it was something I've done a bunch of times.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Talk about your glove. Do you go 2 in the pink? Where are you trying to catch the ball? You flare it out? How does
Yep.
that work for you?
So originally, when I was younger, it was really, I was super basic. It was just my fingers went where the holes were, and then my finger would be out. Later on, as I was going up in pro ball, a player, one of my teammates, Jace Brewer, he had a Wilson glove, and he would go 2 in the last. And I was like, why are you doing that? And I did that when I played outfield. I played a little bit of center field in college too. So I didn't understand that, but I tried it for about a week, and it started helping my backhand. And the reason why I say that is because when I'm going normal, you can see where my wrist is and the bottom of my hand, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when I made it with 2, it basically made my glove longer. Mm-hmm. And when I played pro ball, I had a real small glove, but because I would put in the last 2, it extended my hand. And when I'm fielding, I like to be really handsy. I like to use my glove, almost like I don't have a glove. I want to be able to get a ball, flip it out with my glove. I want to be able to get it out, especially playing second and short. I want to be able to come, on a guy bearing down on me. I want to be able to get a double play and get it out as fast as I possibly can. So I like the smaller glove, but putting the 2 fingers in actually extended it. So although it was small, it helped me get a little bit more reach on it. It helped with my backhand. And then once I did it, I could never go back. It feels super weird to just go normal like this. And I'm like, how do you guys do that? Then I started realizing when I did that, I was catching more balls in the palm, which would hurt. I want to catch the ball here in the web, and this is where I can actually get the ball right out of here as fast as I possibly can to turn a double play. And as a middle infield guy, I got to worry about the guy taking me out. Not only that, I got to get that out, and then I got to at least make a good throw to get the other out over there. So I had to find ways to get it in and out as fast as I possibly could.
So talk about the hands, let's say from a ground ball. Are you trying to funnel it into your body? Are you coming sideways with it? Are you coming straight up to here? Talk about that.
So on a ground ball coming right at me, let's just say it's right here. I'm moving. I'm in my setup. As the ball's coming, I want to get out here as far as I possibly can so my butt's down, right? And I'm extending out here. I don't want to catch the ball in here because it makes it real tough. Plus, I can read the hop out here better. When I get the ball and I get it, I'm bringing it in. But as I'm bringing it in, I'm actually getting ready, not to just funnel it in and then go. I'm actually doing it all at one motion. So I'm getting it and I'm bringing it in, getting ready to extend where I'm throwing. So it'd be something like if first base is over here and ball's right at me, I would get it and I'm already moving into the direction I'm going to throw. But as I go, now I can actually come separate. Very similar to hitting where you're actually separating and creating that rubber band effect. It's the same thing with when I'm throwing. I get it and I'm boom, pulling it back here, and then this is my target. This is wherever I'm going to throw.
What is one piece of advice that you could give young fielders that you see, because you train a lot of guys, what is one thing you see that a lot of young fielders do that they need to work on, a piece of advice that would help them to move forward and be a better fielder?
One of the biggest things that I notice is a lot of young infielders are very stationary. What I mean by that is they're stuck in their stance. They're not moving their feet. I think the perception of moving your feet means for young kids anyways, they're moving their feet in a way that they actually have to move the spot. You don't have to move from your spot in order to move your feet. I can stay right here on this FC. I'm moving my feet. I'm still moving them. I'm just not gaining ground right now. But by the fact that I'm actually moving my feet, this is going to help me when I actually do have to gain ground. If I'm flat-footed, which a lot of young infielders are typically, they just sit here and they think they can move from here. You can't just, you know, it's like a car. You put a car in park and you start hitting the gas, it's not going to go anywhere. You got to put it in drive, and then when you actually hit it and you go, you can actually go. So this is me like being ready and being in gear is by me having this rhythm, and I'm still moving my feet, moving my feet. Just because I'm not gaining ground doesn't mean I'm not moving them. So my biggest thing is, like, I would just tell people, or young guys anyway, always be in your feet moving, rhythm. I think Chris talked about a little bit about dancing, you know, having this rhythm of salsa. It doesn't matter what you do. If you can get here and move, then you're going to be able to get to more balls. Flat-footed, it's trouble.
Be an athlete.
Be an athlete. You got to be an athlete.
Be an athlete, be a competitor. Great. That's awesome stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
You can follow Fernando.Cortez.baseball on Instagram and across the other platforms, as well as on YouTube. I'll leave all his information in the links down below. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem.
Check him out. Temecula,
Appreciate
California.
Yeah, thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
it.
I appreciate it.
Yep.